glad to be here today. I always love coming to conferences like this because it just really gets me re-energized. You get to meet fantastic people, share challenges, get new ideas, be really innovative. And I always leave here thinking that I have some new, creative, wonderful ideas. And that's what I want to leave you with today, except I'm going to do it in the form of a challenge. I want to challenge you all to go back to your businesses and redefine what success really is. Success can increase for our intranets. It can increase ROI. It can increase everything that we do, really. Our workforce becomes better equipped to do everything that they need to do. I don't have my notes on one of these. There we go. Fantastic. So when we go back and we get to have the new innovative sharing sessions with all of our coworkers, go back and redefine what success is. So for Walmart, we have redefined success on our extranet, actually, not just our intranet. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that extranet program that we have. So we have redefined success in such a huge way that I kind of want to compare it to what everybody else is kind of used to. So in 2016, CMS Wire surveyed all of us to find out what success is for us. And we replied that we think it's 60 to 80% of our associates. I'm not going to be able to drop the associates. Come on, our employees. 60 to 80% of everyone's employees in their workforce coming to our site on a daily basis. And that's fantastic. We all create wonderful content that really helps our employees do their jobs better. But I think we can increase that. I think you can make all of that very important work that you've created more important to your workforce in your everyday life so that we can increase that ROI for our businesses. So I want to talk to you about our extranet, but first I want to give you a little bit of a glimpse of our intranet because it's really important to know the difference. So our intranet is extremely important to our business. It's actually housed in our operations department because that's where all of our associates go to find out exactly how to set up merchandise in a store, to know exactly when to change from back to school to Halloween to fall to holiday. It's basically everything that's needed to run a store. However, they also have individual tasks for each employee. And those tasks are basically the success rate for each employee on a daily basis. It really is the heart of our operations. It's called the Wire, and like I said, it sits in our operations department because it really is the way that we can create a consistent customer experience across the entire country. But if you really think about it, running a store is more than just knowing where to put the new merchandise and what the new brands are for our apparel line. And that's really where Walmart comes in, because that's not the whole story. So before I get too deep into Walmart One, I feel like we should all start with who we're talking to. So I want to introduce you to Jane. This is Jane. She is a store associate, happens to be in apparel, so that's a great tie-in. Jane is an hourly associate who doesn't always work the same schedule from week to week, which also means she doesn't have the same paycheck every week. She spends all of her time when she's at work on the sales floor helping all of our customers. And then she leaves Walmart. And we all know that she has a life outside of Walmart. But we don't always think about that when we're talking about our employees. So her world is not just Walmart. But I really think that Jane can do a better job of showing you her day than I can. So I have a short video that I want to show you just so that you better understand what we're talking about.
Time to wake
Right? So that's Jane's day. You can tell that there's very little of it that's actually focused on maybe what our company is doing. However, we try to make the best of the time that we get. That's her day. It's not all Walmart. So we try to make everything that she does important. And that's not my world. My world is corporate affairs. I work in a communications department that's responsible for communicating with our associates and media and government and everyone else that's really outside of Walmart. So that's why we created this extranet. It's called Walmart One, as you can tell from the video. It really is a way for us to connect to our employees from a company standpoint. So connect the company to the employees to the company, and really our employees to each other as well. Because I live in the intersection of what our employees want to know, what they need to know, and what we want them to know. Really, Walmart One is that anytime, anywhere, any device connection that we have to our associates and they have to each other. And each one of these descriptors that I've just used, there we go. Each one of these descriptors that I've just used is kind of a Rubik's Cube of information. So everything that I've just said kind of creates a different facet of the cube. And every time we have to make a change to something else, it changes what the cube looks like. So we have to know exactly what our employees can see and when and why and if they're on or off the clock. And in fact, everything that we do is kind of like that. I mean, we all live in a really overstimulated world where everything kind of influences something else. In fact, the University of California at San Diego did a study recently that found that we ingest 34 gigabytes of data per day. That's half of what my iPhone holds. You all may have fancier iPhones, but that's what mine holds. It kind of makes you wonder how anybody can be successful throughout this kind of environment. So at Walmart, we wanted to join that environment, but we wanted to create a single place for our associates to connect to each other so that they could learn a little bit more about our company and form a community space so that we can improve the customer experience because they're our one true boss. So how are we doing so far? Well, we launched about 6 years ago, and at this point, we've reached about 90% penetration into a population of 1.5 million associates because they're using their own devices. That they view about 600 million pages per year, and the one that I'm most proud of is that a couple of years ago, we were voted the most trusted source of information, even above a direct supervisor. That's not knocking a direct supervisor. But think about Jane. She doesn't always see her direct supervisor. We run a 24-hour operation. We can't ask every manager to be in every shift. So we have to have some source of information for those associates who can't get it from their direct supervisors. But this type of success has gotten us to the point to where we know it's possible. More than 90% penetration, we have access to our associates on a 24-hour basis. And this is not even required traffic. Our associates don't come because they need to learn how to set up that merchandise. They come because they want to, because we offer really great information. So how can you do the same and be successful? I'm only going to show you 3 things. I'm going to talk about how we've removed barriers, how we've made it about our associates, and how we've befriended data. So number 1, most important for me, is we try to remove all barriers that we can. We revere our audience because we know that they will leave us at the slightest inconvenience. So we try to take down any barrier that we absolutely can. So we've already met Jane, but I do want to talk to you a little bit more about the rest of the employee base because there's a lot of them. So a couple years ago, I went to our Insights and Analytics team, and I said, all right, I really want to get a full picture of the exact audience that we have on Walmart One. And they laughed. They said, we don't need to do that. We have such a penetration that we can actually just give you the stats for the actual employee base. So this, like I said, it's from a couple years ago. However, at that point, centennials were lumped in with millennials because they had just started entering the workforce. So at this point, we truly have a 5-generation span. We reach a lot of people. And that 5-generation span, we have to know exactly how they are accessing information, and we have to make it accessible for everyone that wants or needs to reach it. We have to make sure our content's good for the entire 5-generation span that's living. So we decided to make things more mobile. We've heard a lot about that this week, right? But then again, everybody's making things mobile because this is how we live now. This is how everybody lives. And we've really worked hard to make sure that all of that content is accessible regardless of where you are and how you're getting this content. So, our mobile has taken off. We launched an app on our users' phones about 4 years ago, 2014. And since we launched that app, our traffic has increased 500%. 80% of our traffic now is coming in through a mobile device. And what we really should say is 80% of our traffic is coming through on this app. It's that ever-present way of all of our users seeing that there may be an update, or they may need to check a schedule update, or if it's the Sunday before payroll, they need to see how much their pay is going to be, which has really helped us increase our reach. Another one that we did with the app is we included biometric sign-in, and that has been huge. Before that, we had a PIN, so it was really easy too. But we made sure that our associates can just get to our content. And after that, we completely focus on the mobile experience. So we've done things like turn off pinch to zoom, all the things that we really should be doing anyway. Because we create everything with a mobile first in mind. I can't tell you how many times we've had people say, let's create an infographic. And I'm like, cool, as long as it looks really great on mobile. We don't have many infographics. Another barrier that we've broken down, though, is we've also joined our internal and our external communications. So we no longer have a silo for that internal comms and external comms. A year and a half ago, I worked in an organization that was a center of excellence for global internal communications. We wrote, did the strategy, did the messaging, everything was focused internally. And our number one channel was Walmart One. But we realized a lot of savings when we joined forces with another digital team that owned things like our corporate website, our corporate social site, our corporate social handles. So now, instead of having a bunch of different people reacting to each other and creating new messages for the audiences that they serve, we have a single strategy, publishing, and content team that does everything for everyone. So we start with our message, or with our strategy, and our strategy folks decide exactly what channels we're going to use for what messages, and our content team creates that, and then we publish it out to their appropriate places, with the publishing team being the SME for each of those channels. And it has turned out okay. It works now. Because we think of our associate first. We create all of our messages with our associate in mind first. Because if the media needs to know, we can adjust it, but they're a secondary audience. Most of these channels are actually visited most by our associates. But it's been hard. It's been a year and a half, and we've had a lot of friction, really, internally. Because in one single day, we had a lot of people who had one mission and one audience, and we asked them to completely shift on a dime so that they now had to focus on everybody all the time. We had people that got new responsibilities and had to learn how to do, a lot of people haven't really talked to our associates because they were focused on that external messaging. So we had people who had to learn things really, really fast. And we all had new ways of working because we had a large group that hadn't worked with each other. But we always create the content so that our associate can access it wherever they are and not necessarily where we are. And of course, I have to say the same things of we have to have a great search, we have to have a great nav. We all know that this is kind of a given, so there's no real need to get too deep into it, but just make sure that your associates can find exactly what they're looking for when they're looking for it. So why do we try to reduce all of this friction? Because we know that our associates are our true north. It's not really about us. Everything that we do is for our associates. They show up because we offer them access to the things they want. In fact, they started showing up to get their schedules and pay stubs. And then we've continued to offer more and more really great content for our associates because that's what they need to continue to show up on a daily basis. In fact, I'll tell you a couple of them because most of our content's actually public, so you're going to be able to log on to Walmart One later and we'll show you a little bit. But all of this information is public because we're still creating one set of messaging, and if we can send it externally, we can certainly make our news public. So news is not the only thing, by the way. We'll also look at some health benefits later. But for us making some of these decisions, it's really focused on that associate. So we do a couple things. Number one, we have a lot of announcements on our Walmart One. There's been a couple that you may have heard of recently. Number one is that we relaxed our dress code. Our dress code used to be khaki pants, white-collared shirt, white or blue-collared shirt. But if you've been in the store since June, what you'll have noticed is that all of our associates can now have a more relaxed look so that they can bring their whole self to work. And all that announcement was made from a stage at a business meeting where one associate per store was invited. So the vast majority of our associates actually learned about this new change from Walmart One. And they really reacted. About 500,000 views in 2 weeks to the single article that was announcing our dress code change. About 1,600 comments. Some of them were really great comments because we also try to make everything community focused. Our most common comment was basically, does this apply to me in my situation? And sometimes it didn't. Our tire and lube associates really need to continue to wear coveralls for safety. Our bakery folks need to wear long pants for safety. But we were able to answer a lot of those specific questions by connecting the people who had questions with the people who had the really great answers. We also had, a couple weeks ago, we also announced that we have a partnership with Guild Education. We've created this partnership because we wanted to make sure our associates had access to higher education. So we created a program where our associates can sign up for a bachelor or associate's degree in either business or supply chain management. And Walmart subsidizes the entire cost of the program, with the exception of $1 a day that we ask our associates to pitch in, and we ask that they apply for financial aid. But otherwise, we completely cover the cost. And that announcement was a little bit overshadowed by the dress code announcement, which we expected. But the Guild one has a longer tail because our associates will access that program through Walmart One. That's how they're actually going to apply for this program and get all the information that they need for that particular program. We also make sure that our content is personalized and contextualized in a way that they know that something does apply to them. They had a lot of questions in that community about, does this apply to me? It applied to everybody. It just applied to everybody in a different way. So we try to make sure that everything that we do touches everyone. One of those is our health benefits. Like I said earlier, they're public. You can see it. We wanted to make that public because that's really a family decision. It's not really one person from a family sits in the back room at a store and makes all of their selections. It's really a family affair so that everybody knows exactly what their health benefits are going to be. So we always try to make sure that everything that we can is public, as much as we can. And in fact, when we found out that our dress code announcement had so many views, we started digging into the data because we wanted to know where all these people were coming from. So we looked into the data, and we found that of those 500,000 people who hit the site, 200,000 were direct traffic from Facebook. Our associates were using our share button, because we have one of those share buttons that sends it out to Facebook. But we actually crawled Facebook, and what we found is there were just so many people that were excited about this announcement that they snagged that URL and shared it with their friends. Talk about advocacy for Walmart. Because we have no idea who was actually coming to the site. But we know that 200,000 of it was from public traffic. And that's not even counting the traffic from Twitter and Reddit and all the other social media channels that they used. But that brings me to the last one that we do. I love data. I dig into the data on an almost daily basis. In fact, I love data so much that I have had this grand idea that I could predict our traffic patterns, our trends, and behaviors through Walmart One. Because I really thought that we had enough traffic that I would be able to identify what was going to be successful and what wasn't. So over the past about 9 months, I have found that I can predict if an article is going to be, a news item, is going to be successful within the first 24 hours of it being on the site. If I need to, I can also make some adjustments. Because what we found is that, and everybody in this room knows this is not going to be new information. If a piece of content has a really high what's in it for me value, people actually read it. So it had such a high positive correlation that our insights and analytics team told me that they really hadn't seen anything that high since they had been at Walmart. Unfortunately, what we also found is that things that had a really strong business tie or really strong reputation tie had a negative correlation. Our traffic actually went down, if that's really what the focus was. So now I have the willpower, I have the ability to go back to our content owners and say, hey, look, I know that you love your content. Everybody loves their content because it's theirs. But this is not really going to resonate well with the audience. Let's change it and make sure that it has that what's in it for me value so that our associates will actually pay attention so that you can get this really important message across. And it's working. Now that we know exactly what's going to resonate, we can create exactly what our associates want and get their attention when we need it. Something that we have used our data to also do is not try to be everything to everyone. Walmart One is an information and community tool. It's not an instruction manual. It can't be. We can't compensate our employees for the time that they spend on Walmart One. It's not a free-for-all, and it's certainly not a platform that everybody else owns. So I've been given the authority to say no when somebody wants to come to our platform and try to use it as something that it's really not supposed to be, or can't be because we can't pay our associates while they're using it at home. We also try to make sure to make the best decisions for our associates. Getting back to it's not about us, it's about them. And one thing that is so awesome for me is that we get to archive a lot of content. We've checked the data. We know that our associates only interact with something for about 30 days. After 45 days, traffic is basically nothing. So after 60 days, we archive it off of our site just to make sure that we remain a light and nimble platform. In fact, we need to be light and nimble. In January, we're going to move to our third platform in 2 years. We always want to be on top of trends and making sure that we're offering the best experience. So that actually leads me to what's next. For us, what's next is that new platform. We're joining up with The Wire. It's going to be a combined intranet and extranet experience on a single platform. We're going to know who our associates are and what they're there to see. But more importantly, we're going to know if they're on the clock or off the clock. So what we'll be able to do is create an even more personalized and focused experience for our associates. We'll be able to show them that really important operational content when we know they're on the clock. And when they're not, we show them all of the stuff that they want to know about. We're also going to continue with our data testing, because I really think that there is a strong case to be made that we can even further predict our behavior and our trends on our extranet just by really carefully watching the data. So all of that is going to lead us to greatness. It didn't build. That's okay. Our graphic designer is going to be very important. Very upset. That's her very favorite slide. But we try to raise the bar on success every day. We continue to do it. We've done it for the past 6 years, and we'll continue to do it. We'll make sure that we're serving up the best for our audience, because we do want to reduce every barrier we absolutely can by focusing on our associates and knowing exactly what they want by using our data. Now I'm actually going to do a live demo. So while you're thinking of all of the burning questions that you want to ask, I'm going to do a quick demo. If we can change over to my computer. There we go. This is what Walmart One looks like. I really should show it to you as a mobile experience because it is fully responsive, but we'll just do it as a bigger one. So as you can see, we have some comments, some articles, some news items, and I'm actually going to go ahead and sign in. Oh, sweet. I forgot that I saved that. So the content that we have is basically company information, products, services, things that are related to work but are not at work. We have some information about money for our associates and our education and careers information. So we have articles like this one. We're launching a new brand, or a new internal brand, and we launched it at our shareholders event a couple weeks ago. So this is what most of our pages look like. We have some videos, we have pictures, and then we have a lot of interaction from our associates. I've read through these, but I haven't changed anything because we don't delete anything. We have a community-moderated conversation most of the time. The only thing that we absolutely moderate is pictures and videos. And we have things like this. So the associate brand makes sense as to why we would have it on Walmart One. But things like this, during our shareholders week, we have a lot of creative folks who come and they bring their really interesting nails. So we did a feature on all of the interesting, fun nails. I don't know if you can see the sparks on this one. And then we had so many folks who wanted to show off their own nails. This one has 106 comments of, here's my nails. And I know that doesn't really make sense, and it wouldn't make sense on a work-focused platform, but our platform is about connection and engagement, and it was really engaging for our audience. As I said earlier, our health benefits are also on Walmart One, so I'm going to go over to health. And we do have, all of this is public with the notable exception of something that I'm actually going to show you of my own. So this is not a test account, this is my actual account. And we have this really cool dashboard that can show us exactly what I'm enrolled in. So my vision plan cost me $2.26 per check. I can see that I have $4 for an exam, and I get to spend $130 on glasses frames. There's also things like real-time PTO, because we do a bi-weekly update of our content for this particular platform, that our associates will know exactly how much PTO that they have available. So that's just a very, very, very quick and dirty. I want to answer a few questions because I know that this is not covering everything that we possibly have. And if you want to see something else, I won't go too far, but I have the ability to show you a little bit more of what's on our extranet. So what did I not cover?
What is this built on?
I knew that was going to be a question. So this currently is the integrated EPI platform. We moved to that in January of 2017 after EPI bought Ektron. So this was our progression. We were on Ektron when I started, moved to the Episerver platform, and now we're moving to the Adobe Experience Manager in January. That's going to be the integrated platform for not just Wire and Walmart One, although that is one of the big customers for that platform, but it's also going to host some of our international sites as well.
You talked a little bit about working on or off the clock and what people could see, and I've dealt with that before at different companies. Did you have to do any special sign-offs for people to acknowledge that they were looking at information of their own choice, or how did you handle that?
We actually don't serve up anything off the clock that they couldn't legally see.
Okay.
So we work really, really closely with our legal team, with our wage and hour team as well, to make sure that everything that we are serving up off the clock is information that's non-compensable. Which means I've learned a lot about wage and hour laws. Like, I know that if we have an event, we can't live stream it for our hourly associates, because we'll have hourly associates who work maybe wherever the live stream is happening. If it's in the corporate office, they would be there, so we can't pay some hourly associates to watch it and not pay every hourly associate. So we just make sure to do things like have highlights of events instead of having the full event, and make things externally available. Because if you make it public, it's not compensable because it's public information. So we have any live stream that we do give everyone access to is also available via YouTube. What else?
You spoke about the level of trust in the content on Walmart One. I was wondering, how do you achieve that? What kinds of governance practices do you have in place around your content, for example?
I feel like that's two separate questions. So we make sure that everything that we have on Walmart One, it really comes from the program owner, to make sure that the content is as accurate as possible. We have a really, really small team. There's only about 5 people who are working on the core team of Walmart One, plus one production person who's an external vendor. But we really rely on our content owners because they come up with all of the content, really. We make sure that we work very, very closely, and that we have that corporate sign-off from the person who owns it and the person who's communicating about it. And then just specifically for governance, that's one of the reasons why we archive things, because we want to make sure that everything is accurate, and in 40, 60, 120 days, it could be different. So we do try to make sure that we keep all of the appropriate information on the site. One in the back.
On Walmart One, is commenting, do you have to authenticate before you can comment?
You
or
do.
Can you comment anonymously?
Yeah, we do not have anonymous commenting. I said earlier that it's community moderated, but nothing is anonymous. We do have moderation for photos and videos because we have found some questionable things. But our associates are really actually great. One of our core values at Walmart is respect for the individual, and so that's kind of drilled into everybody. So we try to make sure that everyone is respectful of each other, but we don't censor anyone. As long as they put their name on it, it's fine. Oh, there's a mic coming for you, I think.
Testing.
Thank you so much. You had mentioned before, by the way, everything looks great, and I'm sure you're really excited for the next steps, right?
Yes.
You had mentioned before that you have a monitoring tool for photos and videos.
Yep.
What is that tool?
It's a part of EPI.
Okay.
We created it as a part of EPI. So if someone uploads a video or an image, it says awaiting approval. And then we have a couple of folks on our team who'll go in and make sure that our avatars, because if you post any picture, we review it. And a lot of people like uploading an avatar. So our avatars and those photos and comments are moderated just in a gigantic list with a one-click good, not good. Oh, we got one more.
So we were just curious how you tell when an employee or an associate is on the clock versus off the clock for the wire.
We've actually combined, we've integrated the global time and attendance system into Walmart One. So when someone signs in, it will hit against not only our data warehouse for finding out who they are, but also against the global time and attendance to tell who they are. And I think there's like 99 data points with that with the login, and then if they're on or off the clock is going to be an additional data point that we have. Oh, right where you were.
Go back, Candace.
Sorry, we have a lot of questions about the hourly employee thing.
I'm sure.
I'm curious also what other tools you use at Walmart. We've heard that you have Slack and potentially Workplace and possibly other things.
We
Can you tell us
so many
your
tools.
portfolio look like? Yeah.
All of my Walmart people are laughing because they own the tools. All right, so we have Slack, Jabber, WebEx, Zoom, Workplace. What else am I missing? SharePoint.
All 365.
All of 365.
MS Stream, VBrick.
Oh, yeah, we do have VBrick.
Yep.
Yeah. We have a lot of tools. These are the guys that own that. They know more about that than I do.
We're working on consolidating down for our associates.
But our hourly associates don't really have access to a lot of those tools because they are compensable collaboration tools.
Sarah, just an FYI, that mouse is dangerously close to the Pay tab. Might want to watch that.
Because that is
we got another question. We got one more.
That is
one
my
more?
live information.
You got a question? All right. Who feels like this presentation is bringing everything together that we've learned these last 3 days? I'm seriously feeling that. Right? All these lessons learned, the metrics behind the adoption. I love it. Who raised their hand? Oh.
No, this is a fabulous presentation. It's really broad and covers a lot of topics because we all have different needs and concerns, but you're really pulling it together nicely. So I think I myself have gotten many really useful nuggets out of it. So thank you for putting this together.
Thank you so much.
So I wanted to ask questions about the multilingual global aspect of that.
Okay.
I don't know if your reach is just U.S. or...
It's not.
Okay.
It's kind of weird, though, because this platform is an off-the-clock experience for the U.S., we have to have separate instances around the globe. We actually have two other instances. One is in the UK. So when we installed Workday, SAP. Yes. When we installed SAP in Asda, our UK brand, we were able to use Walmart One as that front door to get into all of that data, and for our associates to change their data, their colleagues in the UK. But that also gave that team the ability to combine, I think, 7 different websites for different things into a single consolidated platform. Because of wage and hour laws in the UK are different, they could have operational and reputation content always available to their colleagues. So we don't have an on and off the clock version for them. So they're using Walmart One as operation content as well as reputation, recognition, connection, and that social aspect while folks are at work. And then our China instance is really purely that HR front door when we installed SuccessFactors in China to be the data warehouse there. So it does have to get to your actual question, it does have a multi-language CMS. So we can create the 2 pages and we can toggle back and forth in China between Mandarin and English. But they have to maintain that. So I don't have much information. What I do for anything that I need translated into Spanish, I make a Spanish version available as an option on the page.
Okay, so you've global news or announcements. You'll write the version in.
We don't even have global news. It's every instance is separate and walled off.
It's completely shelled up.
Completely
okay, so there's
walled
no
off.
Sharing of the content across.
No, on our corporate side, we actually do have that ability, just to veer completely off of the topic. But we use a separate platform for our corporate website, and that does have a global instance where sharing can happen between instances there. But for Walmart One, it's so walled off because of different wage and hour laws.
Okay, thanks.
Huh? We got one in the front.
Sarah, you really didn't make much of an impact on our listeners here. It's crazy.
Thank you. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Great presentation. How do you do? Obviously, I'm jealous. I'm sure a lot of us are jealous by the amount of data that you do have, given the number of people in there. How are you using that sort of two-way to get back ideas in terms of content as part one, and also are you doing social listening or moderating?
Great questions. So we do social listening specifically for our external channels just because it's a little bit easier because the tools kind of integrate better with things like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and we do a lot of social listening that way. For Walmart One, we do have a sentiment report that we can pull. We can search by specific words, specific time frames. We have the ability to parse through all of that data. When we do it, it's kind of purpose-driven. So there are times that we will download massive amounts of comments and run them through a program called Quid that our Insights and Analytics team has, so that they can find those general themes. And yes, we do mine that data for ideas. In fact, a couple weeks ago, we had a guy reach out and wanted to do a presentation for our big CEO, Doug McMillan, because we wanted to mine the comments. Actually, he wanted to mine the search terms for new and innovative things that we could be doing for our associates. But I was like, wait, that's not really the data that you want. The data that you want is the person who sees an open field and says, I wish my store had fill in the blank. So we did a Quid analysis of a lot of our comments, because we also have some forums that people just talk about anything. So we have the ability to mine that data for some new innovative ideas that our associates are asking for, but they don't know they're asking for it. But we also try to mine those comments to influence our content so that we can have all of the answers that people just randomly asked but maybe didn't notice that someone answered, because we also have like a notification function that says someone has replied to your comment. But if you don't check that, you may not know. So we try to make sure that we have those big questions answered, big themes. I have about 1 minute left if anyone else has anything else. Fantastic. Well, I super appreciate your time.